I'm gonna jump in and say, all of our listeners popping in, Unscripted Exchanges, welcome to Unscripted Exchanges again. So excited to be here. As you can hear, we've got Mr. Ben Terreblanche. That's how you pronounce your last name, right? Okay, I got spot on.
You got it.
I've read it 75 times. I'm like, I've never actually asked him how to pronounce it, but we've got Ben here. Ben is a lifelong entrepreneur. He has started and exited several companies. I know he's still involved in several businesses. A huge family man, a mentor of mine. He's taught me a ton. He's still probably going to teach me some more stuff and Hayden some stuff during the episode. So this is going to be a super, super, super fun conversation. So Ben, thanks for coming on, man.
No, absolutely.
This is great.
Appreciate it to be on here.
The energy's going up. As
Nice.
I'm getting excited as we're talking.
Nice to see you guys with this type of thing. That's great.
Was this planned? I think we're all wearing gray tops tonight.
I
just
texted
noticed
him.
that.
I was hoping you were going to be all.
Gray sweaters.
Yeah. No.
And this is because I was just in Switzerland 3 weeks ago, and my wife organized my little cashmere shirt.
Oh, you got all set up.
Sweatshirt. So you guys are quite there.
You want to know how many
with European fashion?
You want to know how many clothes I have bought for myself in the past 0? Literally. I
That's the kind of wardrobe I like.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know what I want. I'm like, Amanda, she's like, well, are you ever going to buy your own clothes? I said, not if you keep picking my stuff out. Like, you know what looks good better than I do.
Isn't that great, though?
Oh,
To have something that you like, and then you don't have to decide about that.
Yeah, you just take
So-
it. It just flows out of the memory. I like to compare myself to Steve Jobs.
He had that.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Maybe I'm not quite on his level.
You're gonna start wearing black turtlenecks here next week.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So Ben was, you were just talking about your pilot's license. Why did you even get into that? Like what was the driver? Just because it was something sounded fun, or?
No, it's something that I've always thought about. I tried to get my license 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I actually got, unfortunately, disrupted by 9/11. I got very close to my check ride and everything.
Okay.
And then general aviation got disrupted. There was like a moratorium on it, and when that got lifted 6 months later, it was winter, and I was soloing. This was 2002. But there's with flying, there is currency and proficiency.
Okay.
Yes, you might be, from a regulation point of view, you might be in good shape, but are you feeling comfortable? Are you proficient? Are you on top of everything? And I lost that momentum.
Oh.
And then it really got, with the other impact of back in those years, early 2000s, was to focus back on the business.
Mm-hmm.
Had to plow everything that I had back into that. And so that got on the back burner.
Yeah. And now you're coming back around to
then
it.
I retired, quote unquote, whatever that means. And then the opportunity, so I explored at Lunken, and they've got a pretty nice program over there.
So you're doing that, Lunken.
I would assume you're a pretty calm and collected person, because any type of pilot needs to be possessing those types of skills, I would assume, and you're not.
It's very regulated from the point of view of checklists. They kind of work against complacency.
Sure.
And being too familiar. They want you attentive and, on top of it, and don't take shortcuts because, I remember how to do that. I don't have to take the checklist. So that's what they harp on.
They want you basically attentive and act like, it's not like, we've all driven a car, right? You're driving and you're like, hey, wait a second.
I missed that turn.
Yeah, or you're like, I'm home. You're pulling your driveway. You're like,
Yeah. What happened?
I don't remember how I got here.
No, that's
what's the
not how
opposite of that?
No. So that's not how that is.
Okay.
It's very. I found the radio pretty hard to get into. I'm South African, and I'm never going to get rid of this accent. I've got this piece of land in Kentucky where we raise Angus beef cattle.
Really?
Yeah, I've got 70 head there. And
We're going to come back
now
to that.
my
in a minute.
neighbor,
Okay.
he has an accent.
Like a Kentucky.
I mean, he
is it a
can
Kentucky
speak
accent?
without moving his lips. he can. I'm down here in a holler if you want to come get me. So I mean, I'm going to be with my South African accent, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So when I'm back in South Africa, which I haven't been in a while, hoping next year, got some family there. Still.
Okay.
I have an American accent, so
I'm
in no man's land.
You're in the middle.
Yeah.
I want to come back to that real fast. You're a farmer too. Why did you get it? Like, what caused you to do
that is tradition.
Okay.
My dad had a farm in Africa. My grandpa. I never grew up on it. We lived in the town, in the city, but we had like a smallish family farm over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just wanted to bring that tradition over here.
It's nice though. We're near Cynthiana over there.
Okay.
And it's very rural, very quiet. I like the nature of it. Mm-hmm. I've helped kind of my neighbor's son.
Okay.
So we have a deal. And so he has an interest in my cattle and in the production. So I don't have to be there every day. That'd be hard to do, on your own.
So is the farm a business, or is this just sustaining your own food? Okay.
It's a business.
Awesome.
It's
Well, you mentioned it. Like, I've got, and that's why I kind of, when you said about the cattle, I latched onto that primarily because on my dad's side of the family, they all grew up out in Moscow, Felicity, Ohio. Huh. And they have actually, my grandma, now my dad, my uncle, 'cause she passed away a year ago, have about, the home farm's got 88 acres, and then they've got another, I think, 150 spread out, some different farms around there. But my cousin, Sarah, so they've been farmers generation after generation. My uncle still does soybeans, does corn, and my cousin Sarah and her husband, Sarah and Josh Eisen, they're both PhDs in animal science. Oh. And they have their own beef company, cattle company. They actually called Flourish and Roam. And it's grass-fed Angus beef. They do chickens.
Yeah, that's what we do. We do natural.
Yeah.
We're not organic, because then you have to go through a whole certification.
Process. Yeah.
You have to get people to come on the farm, and we're not up to that.
Right. But still, I mean, it's just
natural grass-fed beef.
It's just neat. I mean, when you said that, I'm like, I can connect with him on that. Yeah. It's a tough business. I mean, I'm sure you can attest to it.
Oh no, it never stops. Cattle ascribe to this idea of the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. So, and you've got the trees that work on your fences,
right.
So they drop limbs, and then the cattle get out.
Yeah,
it's good for the grandkids. We hunt a little bit, just for the meat.
Uh-huh.
And the grandkids run around on all little go-karts and stuff like that. And this youngest son built a tiny house there.
Really? Okay.
So they really had fun with that. We have a little farmhouse, and then they have the tiny house. They did a nice job. Actually, it's not a tiny house. It ended up like 30 by 40 feet.
Okay.
So
it's a good size. Like,
it's actually a 2-bedroom little house.
Right.
Very nice and very modern. Bit of a standout in that area.
Is it?
Over there. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
And so we've got Elon's Starlink there, and
Really?
We've got, so he's got more modern stuff, obviously the latest, the Roomba. It's a Roomba ready little place.
Okay.
Underfloor, with a heat pump and stuff. So.
Sounds like my kind of house. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So no forced air heating.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just from the.
It's heated from the floor. Yeah. How many grandkids do you have?
We have 8.
8.
So yeah.
So they have a blast. What's the oldest?
The oldest is just going to be 10. Two of them.
Okay.
So they're just having fun there.
So if you weren't already busy still, you're even more busy with the grandchildren.
Yeah, if I knew how nice grandkids were gonna be, I would have skipped the kids part. No, I'm just kidding. The kids are good, but we really, and my wife as well. I mean, the grandkids have her wrapped around their fingers. So, I mean,
That's amazing.
so that's a great privilege, and they're all around, Metro Cincinnati. So
Right. So you get to see them all like on a regular basis, right? You said you hunt? Like you guys hunt?
Just deer.
Just deer?
Yeah, deer for the meat.
What's the biggest you ever shot?
Well, Byrne got I want to say a pretty good one last year. Can it be a 12-pointer?
Okay.
Yeah, so, but I'm not into really the trophy side of things.
Okay.
I hunted in Africa a little bit, but nothing big. Just the small antelope, and
That's
again for the
for
venison.
the meat. Yeah, for the meat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's see, I like to go for the antlers. I love antler hunting, but I do like I'm only going to shoot a deer that I know I'm going to eat, that I know we're going to process. I shot my biggest last year. I've been hunting probably, I think it was 9.5 years to find this buck. He scored just under a 156, just under Daniel Boone and Crockett.
Wow.
Yeah, a monster.
And in Kentucky?
In Ohio. Ohio, yeah. Okay. I shot him 152 yards away, iron sight, 45 caliber.
So
literally,
that is
think
muzzle loader, right?
No, it's
what kind of
it's a 45 rifle. Yeah, it's a Winchester. It's legal. You can't use what's considered high powered in Ohio, but it's technically a legal.
Because we have 3 weekends and 2 weeks of 308. I mean, rifles.
Yeah, so we can't use those up here. Yeah. But I mean, I was telling him the story the other weekend. I was getting all excited. I'll show him the pictures. I'm like, you had no idea. I'm like, it's the last day of gun season, the last 45 minutes. I'm thinking like, my dad had just shot a big one the day before, and he had walked out. So listen to this. I'll tell this story real quick. I'm going down a rabbit hole, but so it's on my grandma's farm. She passed away, and I was out there probably right before we had our second. I would probably be out for 100 to 200 hours a season, like bow season. I'm out there morning, go to work, night, morning, go to work, night. And then I'd take the whole week off when gun season opened. So I'd taken the week off of work last year. Like I'm out there 5:30 a.m., take a lunch at noon, get back out there by 2 o'clock, right? All week long, Monday through Friday. And nothing. I'd seen some small bucks and doe and stuff. I'm like, I don't want that. It's not what I'm looking for. So Friday gets there and I'm out all morning. My wife's like, you told us this was like December 5th. She's like, she's like, you told me you'd hang the lights. You haven't hung the lights. Ava really wants them up. You need to do the lights. I'm like, no, listen, like I got to get out there. She said, I need the lights done. I'm like, fine. You know what? I'll take the night off. I get out there tomorrow. I'm not going to miss anything. Right. So I go to do the lights. Well, I get this text message from my dad as I'm doing the lights. And he's like, I drove out in the field with my Bronco. He has a Bronco. He's like, I drove out and I went out to the pond. He's like, I got out of my car and there was a 11-point buck standing right there. He's like, so I shot it. And he sends me a picture of him with the buck. I'm not kidding you. I got so mad. I'm like, because he sent me a picture. I have to show you this afterwards. He's got his glasses on. He's got a dress shirt on. He's wearing he's wearing Crocs. Okay. That's the kind of hunter he is. Like he went out there, walked around the car, and it was sitting out in the field, and he just put his arm over I'm like, I was so mad. It's one of those times you got to your car, and I'm like, man, don't talk to me. I can't even look at you. I can't talk to you. I'm at my car, and I'm like, just keep the girls in the house. I'm yelling. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm yelling a bunch of stuff I don't really want to say on the show. I'm so mad. And I'm like, good job, Dad. I'm like, good one. I mean, this is a monster buck. So I got there the next morning, and I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm going to get one today. Last 45 minutes are passing, and nothing. And then I see this guy walking out of the field, and he's 180 from me. I got him binos on him. And he got to 150. And I'm like, he's going to walk back in the woods. I was like, so I take the binos off, and I got him on the iron sights, and you can't even see the deer. I mean, he's 150 yards away. I'm like, I know this thing's not going to drop. So I shot. He puts his head up. I'm like, all right, let's try it again. I reloaded. I'm like, he's not moving. I'm like, either I scared him or I hit him. hit him again. I almost jumped out of this. This was a 26 feet in the air stand. Didn't have a rail in the front. I about fell out of the stand. I jumped up. I was so hyped. I was like, let's go. Anyway, that's my hunting story.
Oh, those stories are great.
You got me in a. I
that
mean,
feeling.
it's just like it was super cool. So I can again. I didn't know some of the stuff about you.
It is, really special to get under the hood about how farming is done in the States and cattle farming, and learn a lot from my neighbor.
That's awesome.
So
I think that can be said about a lot of things. Like, a lot of us that don't have experience in a given field kind of just, we don't think about it. We take it for granted. But like, and I'm kind of tapping into a previous work job that I had with UPS. Like, people kind of think that that's pretty basic stuff, but there's a lot that goes into even delivering packages, like supply chains.
I know.
And just hearing you mention that, like with farming, I don't know much about farming, but it's like, it's amazing. Like, you can literally get into the weeds, and it's fascinating to hear, that's newfound appreciation for things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned South Africa a few times. Like, so
so I was born there.
Okay.
And left there when I was 34. I came to the States, but I did engineering, worked in engineering, mechanical,
Okay.
For a number of years, in various industries, but mostly off-road, transmissions, things like that. And then I joined. I worked for a company that was. And that was really important for my career.
Okay.
I worked for a company early on that had a vision about the design process for mechanical, and not wanting to continue doing it on the drawing board.
Okay.
But they wanted to not automate, but computerize it.
Okay.
Try and visualize things in 3D and get involved. So when I joined this company, they put me kind of in that area. This is the new kid from university. What do you, here's some computers we bought. They actually, this is absolutely true. The guy, my manager, took me into a room and said, we turned the light on, okay, of this room.
Right.
And it had counters all around the room with dust covers on this. And it said Hewlett Packard on it, on everything.
Okay.
And he pointed me into the room and said, Ben, see what you can figure out in this room. I'm sorry, I have to run off to a meeting. I'm late for a meeting. We appreciate you being here and everything like that. But I cannot give you more orientation now.
Okay.
And this is a research and development facility for off-road vehicles. So I took the covers off and the manuals and everything and started playing around, and actually did enough to where when he showed up, I don't want to say months later, but
a while later,
sometime later, he would check in on me. Ben, are you still okay? Yes, good. Please keep going. Keep going. But I plowed in, and this is, I think, one of the fundamental, if you want to say what I correlate with business, is the notion of there's no help on the way. There's no help on the way. Mm-hmm. There might be a different approach to life to say, look, I'm in a predicament. It's somebody else's fault. Mm-hmm. Somebody needs to sort this out, and then I'll be happy.
Right.
But that I've never seen that really.
You don't subscribe
happen.
to it.
I don't subscribe to it. I subscribe to the Reagan thing, which says, the worst thing you're going to hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help. I don't, so for us, so I was on my own there. I actually got some books and figured out this 3D transformation of a vector representation, and I did a little 3D wireframe model of this particular item. And when this manager showed up one day, I said, hey, don't run away. Let me show you this. And on the screen, I was able to rotate this 3D wireframe. And it was, whoa, hold on. So he called his boss, and then so on. And that really, that led to me getting included in a committee where they said, no, okay, so we're not going to write our own solution here for the modeling and for the 3D stuff, but we want you on the committee to investigate which direction we should go.
Okay.
So here's the young engineer and in Johannesburg, and they tell me, please plan a trip for us overseas. Let's go look at CAD systems, 3D mechanical engineering CAD systems. And man, did I put together a trip.
You're like, it's on the company's dime.
It was. Fortunately, my boss was a foodie.
Okay.
I came out of college. You got to imagine this. Steaks and stuff that It
you
was
hooked it up.
An absolute blast. We started in London. We went up to Edinburgh. We went to Munich, Germany, other parts of Germany. Now, at every of these places, Siemens and computer vision and some of these systems were making big progress.
Right.
McDonnell Douglas. There was a system called Calma, Applicon. There was one out west, I forget the name of it, Patrick Hanratty. He was big name in this field. We met him. Silicon Valley, we went to San Jose.
Oh, you went everywhere.
I mean,
you planned a trip.
we went to St. Louis. We went to the McDonnell Douglas factory. It was a fire hose. But I got so excited by what I saw. And so completely immersed in it that I really, really became passionate about that.
Okay.
So that was important for my career. I really realized that, this is the way of the future. This is how it's going to be done. When I came back, I had to write the big report, and that was okay. I was a small part for the benefit of the whole thing.
Well, right.
And I recommended a system, which they went with. And then I got aggressively pursued by one of these vendors that met me.
Okay.
Because I did a pretty sort of detailed job of, they realized, this guy is young, but he's
on it.
Yeah. So they hired me as an engineer for them, and I joined. They made it interesting.
Okay.
Was there like a non-compete clause at the time or anything like that, or was it?
No, it was non-competitive.
Yeah,
it was,
okay.
I was moving from the user side to the vendor side.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then, and that's how I got started in the CAD/CAM field. So it's mechanical engineering, but from a computer-aided design and manufacturing point of view.
So I want to kind of get into, because it sounds like that's what led up to SigmaTek, right?
Eventually, yes.
Yeah. So you took a lot of that experience and you poured, you came to this product or solution. Like when you first started SigmaTek, did you know where it was going to go? Did you have any idea of how big you could grow it? Or did you start off with hey, maybe I want to focus on the niche? Because I know SigmaTek is everywhere and your products.
No, I did not visualize it. I have notes of where I wrote that if I could have 50 people, that would have been a dream come true.
Right.
In my own business. And when we exited, we had 350 people in 15 legal entities, all over the world in different countries. So no, you cannot visualize, you're surprised by it. But I mean, there are things along the way that really, it's not the size, it's when customers like really give you the feedback, like, wow, you guys are helping us.
Right.
That is, well, first of all, your competitor, that is ammo against your competitor, because these guys have voted for you. And then they give you feedback of how they enjoy the benefits of it. But I mean, when I came to the States, I had the algorithm, and but it was a very meager, humble scenario.
Okay.
We had a business. So there's a piece in there in the 80s that I
Skipped over.
that I skipped over. I taught at university for 7 years.
Okay.
In mechanical engineering, but I introduced classes about CAD/CAM.
Okay.
So if you really want to get to know something, teach it.
I love that.
I got stuck into the math of it. I got stuck into the business side of it, the management side of it, the people side of CAD/CAM. So that was very useful for me. I also went to business school. I did the MBA and learned about marketing and branding. And I benefited from that.
Big time?
Big time. I benefited from the branding side and realizing that the sooner you can get a brand, Ben, that you can invest into, the better.
Okay.
So that paid off in the long run. Looking back now, yes. And also what brand equity is, how valuable it is, and how it needs to be the same graphically, and how you're careful. You have to be careful about it. So then also at university, we had a school that was really progressive, where they encouraged faculty to engage in industry.
Right. Okay.
Consulting. So I did a lot of consulting work, stress analysis, fatigue, vibration. I'm a PE.
Okay. Which means what? Can you elaborate?
A professional engineer is a certified engineer that can sign off on certain things.
Okay. Okay.
So not for buildings necessarily, but for in the mechanical space.
I got you. Like, hey, we want to do this. Okay, I checked it. It's right.
We want to hoist this thing with a cable. Can you size it for us? If the cable breaks, there's a lot of liability.
Right.
So I did crane design and that type of thing too. Anyway, so at that school, with the encouragement, through my earlier CAD/CAM career, I had made contacts. And so I cultivated those contacts, and I went on, for example, a sabbatical.
Okay.
That was important. I went on a sabbatical, which is time off from the school. 6 months, they get you paid every so often, every like 6 years or whatever. But I arranged for another 6 months unpaid.
So you took a year off.
Took a year off. Came to Michigan. And I joined a company, I joined a company, Engineering Mechanics Research, that they were working in aerospace and automotive, high-tech CAD/CAM stuff.
Right.
And man, I learned a lot there. I contributed there.
Right.
And these guys wanted to hire me, but I had a kid here. I had my son.
So you had your first.
My first kid was there.
Okay.
Then this little boy was born here. Surprise. And so they wanted to hire me with the work permits and everything. I'm an immigrant.
Right. Okay.
Bottom line, I did the 1 inch of paperwork eventually to do the immigration.
Right.
But no, my wife said, no, we want to go back. So we went back, but I then went back, and this is an easy way to start a business. for anybody interested.
Yeah, I want to hear this one.
I went back to South Africa as his rep. This guy had a good product.
Okay.
And I said, all right, I cannot, work for you, but I'd like to be your rep in South Africa. And so he said, all right, you can be my rep, 30 points discount off list.
Okay.
And I thought that was a little bit not enough for software. So I upped the price a little bit.
Right. So you can make up that difference,
yeah.
right?
I think software should be 40.
Okay.
I qualify that statement. Software can be 40 on the old model, which is the perpetual license with maintenance model.
Was that basically like lifetime license?
Yes.
Okay.
That is fading away from the landscape very fast.
Okay.
It's going to be subscription annual.
Yeah.
And those margins are less.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much less.
Okay.
But it was an easy way to start a business. It was not enough to live off of.
Right.
I was still teaching, but I'm not sure what's making that noise.
I heard that too.
But
I heard. Yeah. Okay.
No, somebody is.
We've got some live fans here today.
No, I was hearing that too, and I'm like, I kind of looked over at you, and I looked at Ben, and I'm like, somebody's.
Was it like a little kid or something? Yeah, I thought I heard that. I mean, there's a school out back there, but I don't know.
I think
It's all of our fans outside.
I think we've got a little audience that's gathering around here. That's
funny.
Enjoying this conversation.
That's because it's a great conversation. Yeah. So you're talking about, that's interesting, the old model versus the new model.
Yeah. So I was under the old system.
Okay.
And so I taught some more, continued to teach, but I also used this technology in school. So there was a benefit of stakeholders involved here. The students could get exposure to this real neat technology. Finite element analysis technology is for stress, calculating strength and weights,
okay,
and heat and physics of things. Figure out how big you need to make them so that they don't break.
Right.
So students could benefit, the school benefited. I was able to, offer this product, and that's where I started selling.
Okay.
I mean, I'm an engineer,
right?
But I got over this sales stereotype of a salesman, high pressure salesman, foot in the door, in the front door with a vacuum cleaner. I'm just going to, you want to slam the door? No, I've got my toe in there.
Right.
And I'm just going to, I'm not leaving until you give me an order, that type of stuff. That was my stereotype of a salesman.
That's what you envision every salesperson like, right?
And that's why I didn't want to be.
You didn't want to be that guy, right? No.
But then I realized, I read Tom Hopkins' material.
Okay.
He's got an excellent book, How to Master the Art of Selling. And he's got some things in there that allowed me to overcome the stereotype, negative part of, look, I'm actually here to help.
Right.
You find a solution. If it's not for you, no harm, no foul. It doesn't have to be high pressure.
Right.
And it's that kind of approach. And so I was at the university offering the software. I organized conventions. I was hustling again. I actually brought a professor from UC to South Africa,
really?
Professor David Brown. He came and gave a paper he was the keynote speaker. Wow. I think looking back again, it's going to go forward because that's one of the reasons why we ended up here in the end.
Okay.
But that would be years later. He came, and so I had the software there. It was also a good time because the software ran on a PC that was just making the breakthrough.
Right.
And it was like, wow, you can get this technology on a PC. So that business became such that I could no longer, I started hiring people. I could not stay at the university anymore.
You were getting that busy.
I was getting that busy. The university also, we had a change of leadership, and you know how that is. People don't really resign businesses as much as they resign their bosses.
They're not. It's not like most people don't quit because I hate what my company does. They say I can't stand my boss, right? Or I can't stand my coworkers.
And when there's a boss change, is when
a lot of people leave.
A lot of disruption.
Yeah, because if people were staying because they liked it.
And I was, in a case study of that, an anecdote in there, data point.
Right.
So then it was good because the new guy said, no, you guys, these businesses that you have here at the university, you're screwing the university, which was not true. He wanted more of the PhD stuff. He wanted us to do PhDs. He wanted us to do research grants, right? Get money from the government, and that was not for me. So several of us actually left. And then, so that's when I went into full-time, this company called MECAD.
Okay.
Mechanical Engineering CAD.
Oh, that's what, okay, MECAD.
MECAD.
MECAD, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The brand turned into MECAD. Like MECAD.
Yeah.
It's not what it is. It's still there. I still have
around.
that business is still there. MECAD Systems Pty Limited in South Africa.
Really?
And,
Okay.
That business, I founded that business. I still own it.
Okay.
We are the SolidWorks distributor for South Africa. It's an important leading CAD system.
Right. I've heard
for mechanical.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Very
a
leading
premium
edge.
one. It's not free. So there's investment and stuff involved, as opposed to some of the other ones that has very low entry point. But
Right.
it's for professionals. So
I want to jump in on something because you were talking about sales. So I want you to elaborate a little bit more. Like you said, okay, I learned how to not be a high pressure sales. Like what does that mean? That means you're educating more. That means, what does that mean exactly?
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, there is some mechanics about sales that you learn.
Right.
That I knew early on, just from my culture necessarily, and from my dad. I didn't pick those things up. I worked for a guy along there with that CAD vendor.
Right.
That was a brilliant salesman, and
Right.
I was just blown away by his way of doing it. How he would, not push stuff, but he would ask questions to the point where he would ask it in such a way is that the customer eventually says, look, I mean, I can see now we have no other way but to go with yours.
Right.
And it's just through questions. How are you going to do this? All right. So if you do that, then how would you integrate it with that? If it doesn't have that function, and then if how would you then approach that? And he would just ask questions to the point of so some of those mechanics. There's mechanics involved in sales. There are closing techniques that just resonated with me. I would demo software because I was now with this vendor,
Right.
and I'm the application engineer. So they bring in customers, and now
You show it off, right?
I have to show it. So there are signs when you show something where you need to stop showing now. Now, engineers are not like that. They don't really want to stop. They want that high. Ooh, yes, wow. Can you see this function? But that's not how you succeed. You can over demo, and you had the guy sold, and then you show something, and he's like, show me that again. Ooh, no, that
You can
cannot
talk
work.
yourself out of the sale.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, many things like that, Cole. I actually, over the years, have made a study of sales, the science of selling. And at SigmaTek, I mean, we developed a playbook,
Okay.
an accountability and an effectiveness and activity level playbook
Okay.
that drove our sales organization, and how. Because an amateur, I would say, business person, a young person wanting to start out with business would say, for example, I need to be cheaper, right? Because that's I'm going to get the business.
Right. I have to be less expensive.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the worst scenario. You need to be at least 20% more expensive.
The perceived value that you...
The perceived value. Yeah. So now you have to have a product that is fit for a opportunity, for the opportunity and fit for the task. But that's what we did at SigmaTek. Man, we focused on that quality piece of it, the technology. Our SigmaTek business playbook involved a concept called make or break. There was one of the many steps in there.
Okay.
And our make or break was the innovation piece. How to innovate, not invent. There's a difference. You don't have to invent everything, but you can be like Microsoft. They did not invent hardly anything, but they innovate. They make it better, make it work better together, and then they maybe invent a little bit around the edges. But I mean, look at how it's all. They pushed out the different, Lotus and whatever. They didn't invent the spreadsheet. They didn't invent Word. It was Word Perfect or whatever those early ones were. So the focus on awareness of functionality and then making it better and really focusing on user experience, but then bringing it back to sales is to then say, all right, this is the best one. This is the best one. So you claim it. You claim the best, and then you have to show some evidence. Because, for example, this company bought it, that company, this router company.
Here's a happy testimonial,
and they looked at everything. So there was a little narrative, and then, but in life, there's in any capital investment you're going to make, there are three things to consider. You're going to look at the quality of the technology. You're going to look at the service, and you're going to look at the price.
Right.
And nowhere will you find a vendor that outperforms in all three at the same time. You're going to have to compromise on one of them. You can go to Walmart, you'll get the Samsung TV, and so you'll get the quality and the good price. But if you go back there with a big TV in a cart, and you're going to ask the guy, how do I hook this up to my, I want to make a studio at home, and I want to all the multimedia stuff. Well, first of all, you have to find somebody in the store.
Track them down. Gotta hit the buttons. Yeah.
And good luck. The service is not going to be there. Please contact the manufacturer, sir.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. So when you're in software, you're going to buy software for a business. There is nothing that you can compromise on as far as technology or service is concerned. The only thing you can compromise on is the price.
Right.
And then your price has to be more expensive a little bit. Otherwise, so if you make all of this case and you cost less,
it makes no sense.
then it just undermined. It's suspiciously cheap.
Right. It makes it. It's like it raises a question mark. Like, hold on a second. You mean you're telling me you got better service, you got the features I need, the quality I need, but you're 20% less?
Yeah.
Like
It's
how,
not gonna. It's
wait,
not
how
gonna
is
work.
that possible?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. So and that's an example of the sales science that I really enjoy and learned about, experienced, tried, and then, got success from.
The reason I came back to that, Ben, so you know, is I'm a diehard. I love everything about sales, and we've talked about this on the podcast several times. But I think selling, the psychology behind it, the human nature, the there's not ever just one answer. It's a very multifaceted process. I just think it's super interesting. I think that the science behind it, when you're talking about that, like it gets me excited because I think, there are so many levers that you can pull when it comes to selling. And so I absolutely love that. But I also love the fact that you pointed out that is, sticking to that, understanding how that works. That was kind of how a lot of how you were able to scale SigmaTek, right? A lot understanding that and adapting it and understanding and putting a playbook together. That's how you were able to consistently grow the business, right?
Yeah. Eventually, it came down to, so once we were going with Sigma Nest, then it became a question of how to scale. And it was, in the end, if you want more sales, get more salespeople.
Okay.
That was the only thing that worked.
Right.
You can get some growth out of a salesperson.
Right.
Year on year. Maybe 5%, maybe 10%. Excluding the ramp up. Okay, so you've got somebody that is, we call it at the activity level and at the efficiency level that you want. And we had a model for those things.
Okay.
Beyond that, certainly giving more territory doesn't work. That works. I have evidence of it being counterproductive. More territory, less sales. The guy is scrambling all over the place, and it's not coverage. It doesn't get coverage. We had a guy that covered Ohio, Pennsylvania, and I think New York. We have this territory, and his number went up
Because he was able to focus more.
Yeah. So he was able to visit a customer and then do a proper job instead of rushing off to the next opportunity. He could have the conversation about, well, we appreciate your business. Thank you very much. Who else do you think might be able to benefit from this? I've got case studies and examples of where we had been trying to get in. It's in the CRM system. They won't take our calls. And then this guy said, no, I know that guy. He's across the street, just 2 blocks down. He doesn't want to talk to you. Hello, come on, let me pick up the phone.
Right.
And he calls him, no, you have to talk to my buddy.
Yeah.
And we made the sale over there. So, the overcoming of, getting in and the cold calling, and that is hard. Who wants to take the cold call? Who wants to make the cold call?
Yeah.
But you have to do it. So the other piece of sales science is lead gen, which is more marketing. But that was also something very intentional for us, the lead gen, and the sales guys had a responsibility. Marketing, you cannot say, oh, marketing doesn't give me leads.
They all play off of one another. They're all important.
Yeah. Marketing must give, but
knowing what you know today, what would you tell your younger self about business that you didn't know at the time?
I heard this all through my career, but I never really believed it and embraced it. Is how important alignment of the team members are. So I made a lot of mistakes with that. I would tell myself, no, make sure that you get good people. Good people. I'm a bit... So as a teacher, you have to play the hand you dealt in the classroom, all right? And there's a little bit of that rubbed off on my business approach. I would be, man, I'm going to give this guy a chance.
All right.
He's not exactly, but I'm sure we can get him
All right.
or her.
We can develop.
Yeah. And this is where Yandre my son is very different. He is absolutely ruthless in terms of non-negotiable about
You gotta have
core
this.
values.
Okay.
He knows what his core values are. Now he kind of introduced this when he was at SigmaTek. He did his MBA through Miami of Oxford.
Okay.
And they do a nice job of, strategy. They have a nice class on strategy there. He did it through the Westchester campus,
Okay.
part-time. And so he used SigmaTek for the class on understanding what your core values are as an organization.
Okay.
Not so much a mission and not so much the strategy from that point of view, but the core values. And we were able, and it's not aspirational, it's what they are.
Right.
And it cannot be things like trust or honesty. Those are not core values that distinguish. That would be like a restaurant saying, well, our unique thing is that our silverware is clean.
Right. Okay, everybody.
Like, that's
it
bare
should be.
minimum.
It's a pay to play, that those are sort of minimal, require honesty, trust, mutual trust, respect, those things.
Those have to be understood and done.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. What the core values are that differentiate is what's different about you that is sort of attractive. And we kind of went through that whole process of understanding. And how you do it is you look at people you really admire in the organization, outside of the organization, and you list all these adjectives as a leadership team.
Right.
You go through such an exercise. Or key people, not just the executive committee, a larger group. And then you distill it down. And so that would be one point. I made a mistake, for example, in Germany, to be honest. I don't want to speak too much out of the company.
Right.
But I fumbled that. Whereas in Italy, I did a great job. I can say, and it's in spite of me that, because the guy in Italy was just a fantastic guy. And the guy that I got in Germany was not a strong leader. He was weak.
Didn't work out. Didn't
work out. Left the company early
fit the bill.
on.
Right.
And I lost momentum. When he left, he was a Bundesliga player, soccer and all that. But no, he didn't have the passion and the vision that we had. So that's one. I'm sure there are some others if I can think about it.
Yeah. Going back to your core values call out, I like that a lot. It sounds like your core values kind of led you to a competitive advantage, maybe. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, eventually. I mean, once we started getting more intentional about it.
Sure.
Like how we understood that it's not HR that's important. It's OD, organizational development.
Okay.
Of which HR is
A part of it.
Yeah, it's a part of it, and it's more like the regulation part of it. But what about leadership development? What about getting the right people in the right seats? Understanding the GWC, the get it, want it, and has capacity. Gino Wickman's stuff.
Right. Yeah.
The organizational development that helped a lot once we understood through, like, we did quite a bit of Gino Wickman's, the EOS. I don't know if you guys have spoken about that.
Familiar with it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good for small companies, medium-sized companies.
Right.
They have there a thing called a people analyzer, which is where you go through your core values. Now, for example, at SigmaTek, we had helping others would be a core value. If you're at your desk and I come over and, hey, my laptop, it doesn't want to print. We had that value. Now, it's distractive, but you're going to come help me. If I look at our best people in the company, they would just help.
Yeah, but that's huge, right? That's a huge. That's a character. That's deeper than. I love that. I love that specific call out because that's deeper than, oh, this person's punctual. Like, no, they're helpful, and you're saying we didn't just say helping others. It wasn't just something we thought. It was, we're gonna be, and that comes down to like working together, right? Like, I'm gonna come to you and say, hey, I need help with something. You drop it, and you come to me and need something. I'll drop what I'm doing and help you.
And that rubs off on the customers because that's really where it gets customer satisfaction and then investment in the organization. So the whole alignment of core values and really making it something real in the business. When you hire, for example, interview questions would touch on these points without necessarily the candidate knowing it. Mm-hmm. But we would want to tell us something that you really know a lot about, that you really like. Because we had another core value that's called engineering curiosity. So we would want somebody, I like, I build gaming computers and I make them air cooled and water cooled and, liquid nitrogen cooled.
Right.
Or whatever. And so then, okay, that is the kind of thing that you want. And then that would be a high score on the engineering curiosity because in the tech game, with something like SigmaNest, you need to be curious about what's going on. Otherwise, you're
going to stop innovating, like you said.
Yeah.
I did have another follow-up question too. You're talking about SigmaNest, and throughout this conversation, I think we've heard all these different phases of your life, right? And you kind of walked us through, you grew up in Johannesburg, and then, you went to school, and then you started work, and you traveled the world, and you came back and then worked at a university. So you've had these different phases. And one of my questions to you is, and this is more of a, what tips or advice can you give to young, people of our generation and younger and maybe even a little older for balancing your time? Did you ever struggle with finding a balance, and how did you prioritize? Because it sounds like I know you pretty well. I mean, you're still got your hands full with stuff. And so how did you find a balance for that? I mean, were there times in your life where it was more difficult? I'm sure there where you had to put your head down and,
No, the balance is important, very important. If you're going to ask Anita, my wife, she's going to say, I'm not that, I'm sometimes not balanced.
Okay.
But I, at the same time, I didn't work on weekends. When somebody says, I'm working 70 and 80 hour weeks, I get a little bit suspicious about that.
Okay.
You want the weekends off. Sunday night, I'm going to start worrying about the week. I'm going to, what is on this week?
Right.
And I'd be away some nights in the week. I would travel. So those things were not so nice. I had to travel for business. Sometimes I would probably be, at the height of it, probably be away a couple nights a week, every week.
Okay.
So that was somewhat hard, but weekends, try to be at home on the very odd occasion. And then when you're with the family, I mean, those are things that are hard to do. I'm a Christian, so I, go to church and those kinds of things, and that was very helpful for me, and also got me, back on an even keel.
Right.
Sometimes
Recentered you.
Yeah, recentered. That was very important. To where, because there's a lot of distraction. Even if you're at home now, you're tired. Well, am I gonna just go play Age of Empires?
Right.
Or I'm gonna go sit with my kid and play Lego. So I try to play with the kids. We got ourselves an RV, so we had a Winnebago, and we took it all over the place. From Maine to New Orleans to Colorado. I've got a picture of us in Times Square, New York City, on Broadway.
Yeah.
In the RV.
Oh my! I love it.
I've got the picture.
I love it.
And it was the 31st of December.
Oh, it was cold.
It was New Year's Eve.
Okay.
5 p.m. in a traffic jam of buses.
Dang.
And we're in the RV. And I mean, everybody's wide-eyed, including I'm driving it. And we are wide-eyed, man. Everybody's looking at it. What the heck? This RV's lost. These guys are totally lost.
Reminds me of like a Chevy Chase movie. Chevy Chase.
Yeah, or Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But we try to make it fun. So it's not perfect, but the kids are around Cincinnati, so we couldn't have been too bad in terms of that.
Well, I guess what I hear you saying is I kind of looked over at Hayden when you said the 70 to 80 hour, because we've talked about that, and we both subscribe to. Sometimes you just have to work those hours. Like sometimes there's not an option, right? You got a big project going on, and it's just going to take manpower, right? It takes, whether you're coding something, whether you're building out a project, sometimes you got to spend, you have a week where you're putting in extra time. But I subscribe, and Hayden and I both kind of subscribe to the same thing you do, which is if you manage your time efficiently, you do what you need to get done, you prioritize what needs to happen during the day, right? Let's say you work an 8 to 5 or a 9 to 5 or a 7 to 4, whatever you want your 8 or 9 hour day to be. If you prioritize that right and fit that in, then there is no better way to shift from that than to take that to really focus on your time outside of work as truly like your time away from that. Because I feel like the more you're getting that balance, the more you're getting those weekends off or those nights off, your family and your friends and your loved ones are going to be more appreciative, but also you're going to be way more productive during the time that you are working.
Yeah.
And so I just, you hear people a lot, especially if you're on social media, like, our generation, everybody's like, I work 100 hours a week and I do this, this, and this. And it's just like, A, probably not, and B, like that's not cool. Like that's.
I'm not saying that I didn't struggle with some of these things.
Right.
I mean, I did struggle.
Well, we all do.
With I'm notoriously late with stuff. So I procrastinate the hard things, and I'm always late with my taxes. So it's not fun. But you aspire and you try. I ended up understanding my role at the company, I think, in the end. Okay. Which is, I had 4 roles. My first one was strategy. So that is this whole understanding of what the company's strengths and weaknesses are, and what our make or break is, and what our values are. Mm-hmm. And developing all of that into a playbook of, all right, so how are we going to do this?
Right.
And then the second one was team building. That's probably my hardest one, where you have your monthly all hands on deck meeting. You're global, you're on the they WebEx it everywhere.
Right.
And you now have to say, there's a 1 hour meeting, and now you have to say, come on.
Rah.
Yes. And you're the coach.
Right.
Now, I coached rugby here
For who?
for 10 years in Cincinnati. There's Moeller has a team.
Right.
St. X has a team. And then I coached a team in the north called Indian Springs Jets.
Okay.
It's a high school under 19 rugby league. At the time, there were about 8 teams here. And so my boys played. And I
Did you
coached
play?
it. I played, but I was not big enough. Even though in rugby you can have different sizes.
Mm-hmm.
The scrum half has to be very, agile and smaller,
Right.
and things like that. But I thought that the coaching was it really resonated with the boys. The kind of players here in America, not so much the footballers, some of them, the coaches from football were very against us. They didn't want us to recruit.
Yeah, because you were taking
They were very, very hostile.
Mm-hmm.
But we found that the wrestling coaches were very in favor of us.
Okay.
Because wrestling is in winter, and then in the spring we play.
Yeah,
Those
it
guys
worked
played.
out.
And rugby is very much soccer with wrestling. It's not so much the crashing tackles that you have in football, because you have to use your arms.
Right.
And so the takedowns are very more like wrestling. And I was amazed by how similar running a business is from coaching rugby. And I'm sure, and there are a lot of books from football coaches and different coaches that apply to business.
Really?
Because there's a book called Above the Line. It's a very good book. It's the coach of Ohio State. I forget the guy's name.
Tressel, maybe? Jim Tressel?
No, is it? It's called Above the Line.
I'm writing it down now while you're talking.
Yeah, it's a very good book. I thought that book resonated because it has to do with blame when things go wrong.
Yeah.
Versus, and I don't know where I get these things from. It's none of this is mine that I ended up with, but it attached to me. Like when things go, you should have a window in your office.
Okay.
And a mirror. You guys know that one, right?
I know the window. I've never heard the mirror.
The window is for when things are going right. Then you look at the people.
You can look at it everything, right?
And look at the people making it go right. When things go wrong, that's when you look in the mirror.
Okay.
Not the other way around. I don't want to get political over here, but,
No, you're allowed to. You can get wherever you want.
Well, Trump says if the guy, he nominated or promoted some candidates now in this disastrous past election.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, disastrous. And he said that if they win, he's going to take full credit.
Right.
But if they lose, it's their fault.
Yeah. No, it's
so I don't agree with that. I think you need the mirror and the window, and so that is. There's another saying that I heard somewhere is that you can, anybody can struggle through some adversity, but if you really want to see character, give power.
See what they do with it.
And how does that leader? I think that's where leadership. Anyway, so I was saying my role was strategy, team building, deal making.
Okay.
And that was, about the science of sales and the pricing and then the last one is a little bit unusual, but I could not delegate this one, and that's innovation. And I think, this is a little bit of my fellow South African, old Musk, old Elon.
Yeah.
He's big on innovation.
Oh, huge on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt that that was so important for that kind of business that we had, is to continue to innovate. So I was very interested in that. I really enjoyed that piece. And so now, since we're out of SigmaTek, I'm doing that kind of same thing with Yandre in his business, Mock Machines.
That's what I want to hear about Mock Machines.
So Mock Machines, it's off to the races. He's off the runway.
Okay.
It was difficult. He had COVID. He had COVID, but he had the COVID impact on the business.
Yeah, he was. You guys were last time we talked. I think. That was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
That was like right when you guys were. You were like, yeah, I got this new Mock Machines. Like we're in the early stages. I was like, all right, can't wait to see what you guys do.
Now it's very much his business.
Right.
I'm absolutely just an advisor.
Okay.
I don't have an interest in it. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to work with my son.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's huge.
So the day he said to me, "Dad, I've got a desk for you here in the office. You want it?" I said, "Absolutely, I'm taking it." Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not a very good employee. I'm showing up, like once a week or so. But I went to a show with them here a couple weeks ago in Atlanta, and they did a fabulous job. They're right there. They're already making impact now.
So they do, for anybody that's not listening, that's listening and doesn't know who Mock Machines is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to try to say it because I think I did a little bit of research. Automated robotic welding.
Yes. Arc welding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is that exactly? Like, where does that apply? Who could benefit from that?
Any fabricator in the heavier materials.
Okay, like big heavy metals and stuff.
A little bit thicker materials.
Okay.
Trailers, agricultural. If you look at construction machinery, for instance, the buckets, the arms of the excavators, even the frames of these machines are initially cut with laser machines, folded on press brakes, and then welded together. And that kind of welding is what they do.
Okay.
Arc welding. And so they do software. They have software.
Okay.
And then they represent this Japanese company for the actual robots.
Okay, for the machinery itself. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they started off, you said about 2.5 years, and you're saying they're just...
Yeah, they're 15 people.
Okay.
And again, he's got a fabulous team there. Really nice guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, if you come to the office, you'll see Nerf balls everywhere, and there's lots of Lego there. So, it's crazy.
It's
but
it's part of the culture.
It is what it is. But they've pulled off some interesting where the industry has noticed them.
Okay.
And again, this is what is so, I think, powerful is when you have a customer that says, "Well, these guys."
Yeah, they're referring to you. They're saying, "Hey, I wouldn't use anybody else."
Yeah, these guys did it. Here, we've got our machines.
I remember we had this conversation, and this reminds me of what you're saying. I remember back when I was running Parity Water, and you said, "Just get the first customer, just that one person. You got to land the first customer, and you got to get them, make them so happy." Because that goes along, and I've learned that over the years. You treat somebody right, you take care of them, you give them something that's useful, that makes their life easier, makes what they're doing better, creates more. There's different facets to it, but it sounds like you said, Mock Machines. What your son's doing there is they've found that, and they're starting to get noticed from their customers, and that's going to be that's the sky's the limit for them. Yeah. It sounds like.
No, so that's very nice. I'm very grateful to be able to see it and to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. I'm less a part of my son-in-law's business. He's doing a fabulous job. It's his second go-around, though.
Okay.
He had the first company with my daughter. They started that together. That was called SEO Exposed.
Okay.
And they worked in this field of helping people rank on Google. Mm-hmm. And so they consulted me quite a bit there, and so I think I was able to contribute some, particularly on setting a quality expectation with a price that reflects that, and then once you have that kind of funding, you can throw resources. The thing is empowering. If you charge enough for a project, you have the resources to apply talent,
Right.
and get results. So it actually, selling it at a discount is a premeditated misery. Because you're not going to have the money to do a proper job.
Right.
And that's so. But anyway, so they sold that. I thought it was way too early. So Cornell and Tim sold the business after 3 years into it. And I'm like, man, these millennials, they cannot just stick it out a little bit. But upon, reflection now and looking back, it was the right thing to do, because he was able to start this back up, Tim. And he was also, they had more clarity between Tim and Cornell. She has 3 kids. Mm-hmm. She's really involved in the school, and she's a very talented marketer. Mm-hmm. She's also done MBA. She did it through Northern Kentucky.
Okay.
And so on and so forth. But her priorities changed a little bit, and to where Tim could really focus on establishing and driving this in new things. So that's Helium SEO is what he then started.
Yeah.
And he's got a partner in there. He's got a good tech guy.
Right.
His CTO is part owner of the business.
Okay.
And this guy knows what he's doing. Paul, forget his last name. So they're doing very well, and I am able to see and so on. But Tim is going. For example, he is the SEO for Xavier University, business school. Yeah, he's there. So he's on the basketball. Helium SEO, and he's court-tight seats.
They're crushing it. Is what you're saying? It sounds like the first one they learned some stuff. They sold it, and now you're saying,
and they bring value to the customer,
right? Which is huge.
What it is.
It's huge.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I'm involved with is, as you know, is 1819, UC's venture lab,
right?
Incubator accelerator. I've and that's where the balance needed some adjustment. I got involved in some things very early on, very quickly. Probably got over my head with
like other startups and stuff.
Sudden rush of blood to the head, the enthusiasm. And
was that after you exited from like SigmaTek?
Yeah. And I'm also realizing the phases of supposed retirement. There's the vacation phase.
Right.
That doesn't last very long. You can only, I don't want to sound, and then the loss sets in, the loss of identity and, relationships and purpose and things like that.
That's tough.
And then, then there's trial and error. I'm hoping that I'm sort of pulling out towards the end of the trial and error piece.
Okay.
And then ends up with helping others, I think, is what my conclusion is here, is if those opportunities. So
I like that.
With 1819.
It's as simple as that. No, it really is. If you boil it down, I'm oversimplifying it, but any type of business, or if you want to be successful in life, is helping other people out. You're driving value. Yeah.
Did you invest in any other companies through 1819, or are you more serving as the mentor role?
I've invested in some, nothing that's that interesting. No. Okay. We've had some face plants.
Okay.
One of them.
Some lessons learned.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the movie one. There's a movie.
You told me about that one.
Yeah, that's a face plant.
Okay.
And that has to do with I'm a B2B guy. That's just what I realized. I'm not a B2C. And the movie industry, you're gonna be with the movie making business is complicated, and it's feast or famine. They either have a lot of money for a movie, or they have no money.
There's no middle ground.
Yeah. And when they have all the money, then nothing matters. It's just, so it's chaos city. It's okay. We're going to get it made.
Mm-hmm.
And our value proposition was, no, we're going to help you sort out the chaos by planning better.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't need.
There was no need for it.
Well, I don't want to go into, it didn't go where we thought.
We're picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Cole, do you want to wrap things up with some quick hitters?
Yeah, you can go first. Shoot away.
Do you prefer? So what we typically do as we wrap up our podcast, I mean, we'd love to keep going. Maybe we'll have you back on in the future. But we typically just do some quick conversations or quick questions and answers. Sure. I think I kind of know the answer to this, but would you rather prefer driving to your destination or would you prefer flying?
I drive to Chicago.
Okay.
So
nice.
Now, if I have my own plan, I'd prefer flying.
Oh, I can't wait. You're going to take me on a flight now, right? Yes, let's go.
Heck yeah.
Okay, I'll hit you the next one. Skyline or Gold Star?
Definitely Skyline.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only answer. That's
I just thought of a funny one. It's not that funny, but it's funny. I'm just gonna say it. Football or football? Because you like soccer, football, or regular football. That's why I thought it was funny.
I do have season tickets at FCC.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh, that's so you're a soccer football. Yeah. I thought it was in my head. I was laughing at myself. I was like, "This is so stupid." But
that one fell flat.
That didn't even go to the rugby side of things.
No,
yeah, I thought you were going to say football or rugby.
I was thinking football or rugby, but I'm like, "Oh, this will be funny if I say football or football." And I'm like, "It's not going to be funny," but I'll still say.
What about football or rugby?
I like college football.
Okay,
I do like the tradition around that.
Who's your team, if you have one?
I've been to Michigan, but I like to support Ohio State.
Okay.
So I've never been there though. I need you guys with all your contacts to organize.
I've never been to an Ohio State game either.
Yeah.
My brother's going to the game this weekend.
Yeah.
The Ohio State game. He's at Ohio State.
That is the biggest game.
It is.
And so
he's a senior there right now.
So that is a fabulous tradition.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely fabulous.
Oh yeah.
I think we can make it happen. We got some connections.
Let's do it. Let me know.
Yeah.
So before the next one then.
We got you.
All right.
Okay, what was it? A football one was not that
Day
funny.
or night? Do you have a preference?
That changed.
That changed. Okay.
Yeah, I was more of a night person earlier on. But I like getting up early now. The farm,
I just love that you farm. We have to have you on another episode to get into that more. I mean, maybe we'll have Sarah and Josh on too. That'd be a good one. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Okay. Let's see if we can think of anything else.
Good coffee though. It has to be.
Ooh, I got one. Software or hardware?
I like software.
Software.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like software.
That's all I got.
One last one. Gas powered or electric powered cars?
I'm gonna get another gas car.
Okay.
But my daily driver is battery.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm very happy with it.
I actually lied. I got one more question knowing that you've got an electric car. What's the biggest downside of having an electric car?
No sound. It's very fast.
But no sound at all.
No sound.
I've heard of they're quiet as a mouse. Like, I mean, literally, it's like silent,
It's just
right?
whoosh.
That's pretty sweet.
Does the mileage bother you at all or anything like that? Like I've heard from other people, like you can only take it 200, 300 miles. Like if you're going on a road trip, like you'd have to go fill up.
When I bought, I've got a Model S.
Okay.
And I bought it right at the beginning of COVID.
Okay.
They had a special. Unlimited lifetime supercharging for free.
Oh, nice.
That's sick.
I know. I wanted to get the Plaid, which is the newest one.
Yeah.
Now, I do have the dual motor performance. So I have the, cheetah stance with ludicrous mode. I do have that.
Okay.
And you cannot really use it. I mean, it's very fast. But there's the even faster one.
Right.
So I called Tesla. I said, I'd like I'm looking at the Plaid, but I'd like that program that you have with the free unlimited supercharging. And she said, we're never going to repeat that program ever again.
That was a loss for us.
So I've been to Atlanta with it. I've been to Chicago, Cleveland. It tells you where to go. You have a sandwich.
Oh, it's got like
It
a
takes
navigation
20
to get to it. Okay.
Yeah, and it tells you how many slots are open. They've got a lot of, and I've got a charger on the farm and at the house. So
So
what
you're
you're
set.
just plug it in.
What you're saying is it's really not that big of a hassle.
It's no hassle
Yeah.
in my
For you,
for
at
mine,
least. Right.
for mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think sharp.
So my daughter has the Model Y and the doctor has Model 3. So it looks like
You're a Tesla
Right.
family.
they. Now Yandra has a BMW M5. So
Okay.
and that's a sweet car.
Yeah, that thing will rock. That thing will move.
Yeah.
That thing will. I gotta meet him. I gotta meet all your
Yeah.
kids. We gotta get him
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
We,
All right,
we
so-
I wish we would have gotten to the talking about Elon Musk. I know I get in a tangent, but okay. Last question I'll ask you: what do you think about him buying Twitter? Like, have you heard about what's going on? Like, there's some stuff in the news, and you can't believe everything you read. But I thought that was just like,
I'm banned off Twitter, and I'm not sure why.
Okay.
To be honest, I was not even a very active user.
Okay.
But something went wrong. I think I might have got hacked or something.
okay,
So I'm not a Twitter user. I didn't really. I'm somewhat cautious of this very lopsided, necessarily, one way of these large companies where they can influence maybe a one agenda.
yeah, they can do whatever. Basically, they can say, "Hey, we want to do this. We're just going to do this."
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and screw what everybody else thinks.
Yeah. So
It's almost too much power.
yeah. So I'm kind of interested that he bought it.
Well,
Maybe he can level the playing field a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think the whole thing's been interesting, but I figured I'd ask because I know you're. It sounds like you're a Musk fan to a degree.
Not all aspects of it. I like his innovation and his courage. And I mean, when he landed those rockets,
I was sick.
that was
Yeah.
what we need.
Uh-huh.
And that's what this country can produce. I'm an immigrant. He's an immigrant. I think we can do better with our immigration strategy. There's a lot of people who want to come here and bring their talents. Make it very hard for them. I know.
Oh, absolutely.
So things like that. But I'm not, all aspects of him. I don't know your lifestyle and stuff like that. So,
yeah, it's hard to like all aspects of most
yeah,
people,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You pick and you say, okay, I can deal with
I'm
this.
going to cherry pick the things
Yeah,
about Elon that
Well,
I
good
like.
thing we don't have to be best friends with him. Elon, I know you're listening to this, man. We appreciate your innovativeness.
We do appreciate you're awesome.
Maybe he'll give us a shout out after this.
Yeah, who knows?
All right.
Tweet at us.
I think we can wrap up. This has been a phenomenal conversation.
Certainly.
Hayden, I'm just as energetic from now as I was from the get go, but I think I could probably run you guys out of the room. But I just really appreciate, Ben, you coming on here,
Right, no,
sharing your
absolutely welcome.
story, all of the just different phases of your life and the different ins and outs and
Insights, wisdom, lots of good stuff.
unbelievable, right? And hearing you talk about your kids and what they're doing, it was eye opening. I know our listeners will love hearing every bit of it, and we just appreciate having you on.
Good luck with the program.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Ben.
much.
Bye-bye.